Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This is Knitting for Olive Compatible Cashmere. This 100% cashmere yarn features 21 colors. The colorway that we chose is Bordeaux. This 25-gram skein with 150 meters or 164 yards works up as a lace weight yarn. The suggested gauge on a US 0 to 1 or 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 millimeter needle is 32 to 40 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For our swatch, I will be holding it double and using a 4.5 millimeter needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score Knitting for Olive Compatible Cashmere using our 5 categories, which are availability, softness, traction, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you and your next project. Stay tuned until the end for a few pattern recommendations as well. Would you like to feel a sample of our top picks out of over 100 yarns that we have reviewed on our channel? Click the link below to get your first month's free specialty yarn card, knitting patterns, and more. Let's get started. For availability, we give Compatible Cashmere a score of 3 out of 5. Knitting for Olive originates in Copenhagen, Denmark, and typically when a yarn brand is European-based, it's not always very common here in the States. I honestly didn't even know that Knitting for Olive had a cashmere yarn, so needless to say, this one's not as popular as their other yarns. Although this yarn isn't available on any major craft websites, you can find it in the States at Wool & Company and La Mercerie, just to name a few shops. For softness, we give it a score of 4.8 out of 5. So, Knitting for Olive. They're super popular. We've reviewed 3 of their yarns so far, and honestly haven't been super blown away. How does this one measure up? Well, first, this bite-sized little 25-gram skein is adorable. The yarn initially had a nice feeling, was smooth and a little fuzzy. I think it was soft. Honestly, with the little skein size, it was a bit tricky to be able to form an opinion on it. I know it wasn't irritating, but it didn't quite have that exquisite cashmere soft feeling from the skein either. At one point, it even reminded me of their merino wool, a bit drying, not something I expected from a cashmere. But, see, this is why you always block your swatches and projects, because this yarn really softened. So dreamy and soft, I was bummed it wasn't like this while working with it. For comparison, it is softer than Malabrigo Rios and not quite as soft as Cardiff Cashmere Classic. I'd say it's pretty comparable to Drop Sky. For a micron count or softness scale rating, cashmere fibers typically range from 14 to 30 microns, and this one seems to be about an 18, not the softest on the cashmere scale, but still very soft. So to sum all of that up, it's a little soft and drying when working with it, much softer and enjoyable after blocking. For traction, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. It had a good grip, wasn't sticking or splitting, it wasn't slippery like butter. However, this teeny skein did not like me knitting with 2 strands. I started referring to it as not cooperating cashmere. It knotted almost instantly. I haven't had a yarn put up a fight quite like this in a while. I was ready to throw in the needles. For durability, we give it a score of 2 out of 5. Cashmere yarn is known for being soft, luxurious, and lightweight, but it is actually not as durable as other fibers like wool. While it can be strong, cashmere is delicate and prone to pilling or wearing down over time, especially with frequent use. And our swatch in specific did not like the stress test. For starters, it really stretched out, which could be because we used a larger needle size. As for the pilling, fabric to fabric it was small, but when feeling it with my hands, well, you don't really need me to explain it. Some of the largest pills we've ever seen. but with the right maintenance and care, it could help extend its quality and lifespan. For cost, we give it a score of 2.6 out of 5. For being a 25-gram skein, you can expect to pay $18 US per skein. That breaks down to about 10 cents per yard, meaning a size medium sweater quantity would cost approximately $165. Overall, we give Knitting for Olive Compatible Cashmere a score of 3.28 out of 5. My thoughts on this yarn were a little all over. It was soft but drying, then super soft after blocking, but pilled like crazy. But if you're looking for a light and soft yarn for a special project, this could be the one for you. So we had a little look on Ravelry and wanted to share a few pattern recommendations with you, hopefully to inspire you if you're wanting to use this yarn for a project of your own. The first pattern is the Alex Hood by Pernille Larson. It comes in one size with a finished measurement of 70 3/4 inches across the wingspan. It suggests using a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle and a DK weight yarn combination like mohair and merino, or 3 strands of lace weight yarn to meet gauge. You start by working the first half of the scarf from one tip to the midpoint of the finished scarf before working the second half from the other tip to the midpoint. You then graft the two pieces together at mid-back and pick up stitches for the hood. The hood is worked all over in the same 2x2 ribbed pattern and shaped with decreases and increases for the perfect fit. It can be worn with the hood down just like a regular scarf, or on extra cold days with the hood pulled up to protect your head and face against the wind and weather. The next pattern is the Turtle Dove Shawl by Sari Nordlund. It comes in one size with finished measurements of 40 inches in length and 11 3/4 inches in width. It suggests using a fingering and lace weight or 3 strands of lace weight yarn and a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle size to meet gauge. It is a little kerchief that can be worn in multiple ways. It is started at the tip of the shawl, then increased on every right side row until the full width before decreasing on your way back to the other tip. It features broken rib, baubles, and cables. The last pattern is also by Pernille Larson and is called the Rail Bear Bonnet. It comes in 6 sizes ranging from 1 to 24 months. It suggests using a fingering and a lace weight yarn and a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle size and garter stitch to meet gauge. It's a beginner-friendly hat with cute little bear ears worked back and forth in garter stitch. You start working the ribbed face band before shaping the top crown, ears, and the back crown with simple increases and decreases. Next, you work the ties and back neckband in garter stitch before finishing the bonnet by seaming up the ears and the back crown. Have you used Knitting for Olive Compatible Cashmere yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's review, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.